Hi parents, I hope you're all doing well and that this video message finds you all healthy and safe. This week's lesson is about courage. I am usually struggling with technology. No, I'm trying to convey to the kids just sort of, some general kind of like qualities or traits. And then I take that and give them a couple of examples or strategies to practice that general trait. So today's lesson is about courage. They watch a video and then I give them 2 ways to practice courage. So we start by defining courage. So what is courage? The definition I like to use with elementary school students is the ability to face fear, pain, or uncertainty. My favorite definition though, it was actually from a student, and it's when you feel afraid but choose to do something anyway because it is the right thing to do. I think both of those definitions definitely have value. I think that the awesome kid definition is a little bit more easy for especially our younger kiddos to understand. I also like to differentiate between the difference between feeling scared and feeling afraid. So when it says when you feel afraid, I like to connect that to being like afraid of the uncertainty ahead or afraid that something's going to be hard versus being scared, which is like sometimes what we feel with a scary dog or some older students especially might like to feel scared at Halloween time. So fear and being scared to me are different. And at the end of the lesson, I differentiate that for our friends, our students. I show them a video, which I'm not going to show you guys because it's long. Here's the thing that I am reflecting on. This is a long lesson. It's like 17 minutes. I won't make them that long again. So for our kinder little loves, I would say end it at the video and let them take a break because it seems like that would probably be a lot of instructional time for them. And also with our primary kids, so like kindergarten through 2nd grade, I do want to warn you, there's like one little scene in here. They're not like scary zombies, but she talks about like being like having courage and being fearless towards things. And so like there's a little scene where there's like these, they're not scary like Halloween zombies, but they've made them not look super scary. But I want you to know that they're in there. So some kids are highly sensitive to stuff like that. So I just wanted to warn you about that. I haven't had any feedback when I've shown this video before that that's a problem, but I just want to warn you because I had a kiddo that was a little bit sensitive to that when he was younger. So that's the video. Whoa, I'm not going to show it to you though because we'd be here forever and your time is valuable. So what I then did was I explained to the kids, like, so you have a choice. Like you can choose to be like a superhero practitioner of courage. So like you can slay dragons and defeat monsters. And I drew the conclusion like, but that's not really grounded in reality. Like that's good stuff for movies and books and shows, but that's not really how us humans show courage. We show courage by everyday acts of courage, like helping someone who, is unable at that time to do something on their own, or you've already finished at school and you have some extra time to help. Sorry. I'll move myself. There we go. Being caring and loving to a family member, like a younger brother or sister or an older brother and sister. That takes courage, right? Sometimes it's hard to carve out the patience to deal with a younger brother or sister. So I encourage them to show courage that way. And then I just gave them like the blanket statement of like doing things in love and with love is a way of being courageous. It's easy sometimes to snap at people and be impatient, and that's not always doing things through the lens of love. So it takes courage, it takes patience to do things in love. So I encourage them to do that. And then we got to like kind of like our bullet points. So I like to emphasize behaviors that indicate or exemplify characteristics. So, and that's because elementary school students will sometimes like struggle or, you know, have a harder time understanding like a characteristic or a personality trait. But if we give them behaviors that are indicative of that personality trait or exemplify that personality trait, they can make that connection in their head like, oh, that's what courage looks like. Or, oh, that's me practicing courage. So you'll notice sometimes that my wording will like be intentional. So here it says 2 ways to practice courage. And like a very quick parenting tip with that. So like for example, if your kiddo or, you know, our student is like needing to be patient, right? Like instead of us saying something like, be patient, you could say, practice patience. Patience is waiting with a calm body, waiting with a quiet mouth. Patience is waiting your turn. Practice patience. So we're giving them the behavior and what that behavior actually looks like, rather than just telling them to be something, right? Like I can't really tell a kindergartner, be courageous, and expect them to actually know what to do. I mean, some of them might know, but giving them actually the qualities of courage that, you know, I've kind of taken some liberty in determining what those look like for elementary school students, and you get to define them for your family also. I have found in my experience has been, I've seen better behavioral outcomes with that method of having them using language like practice patience, practice kindness, practice courage, and then outlining a few of those very measurable, observable behaviors so that they can make that neural connection in their brain of that is what courage is, or that is what patience is, that is what, you know, friendliness is or kindness is. Okay, I'll stop with that. So here is the first thing I asked them to do. So I asked them to face their fears. So I'm not asking for anything drastic here. I said, if you're uncomfortable, if you're kind of afraid, not scared, remember there's a difference between being afraid and being scared. I told them, I'm like, if you're like, during raising your hand for a Zoom meeting, you're not ready for that. But if you're like, oh, I'm kind of nervous to raise my hand, I'm not sure if I'll get it right, face your fear. You can do it. So I encourage them to raise their hand during a Zoom meeting. That's you practicing courage. Asking for help from a friend, right? Sometimes our pride gets in the way. I mean, I know I, as an adult, sometimes suffer from that, right? So being courageous and asking for help, or doing something independently that you don't usually do, okay? Challenge yourself with something that you've been afraid to do in the past. I encourage them to do that. So I'm not asking them to go out and do something really wild and, you know, crazy, but I'm asking them to kind of push their comfort zone just a little bit, right? So facing their fears. And this one was something that the girl says in the video, which I really wanted to hold on to. I'm just really moving myself here. Okay. And that is, and I'm sure as adults we can definitely relate to this, or I certainly can, admitting when we're wrong. That is an act of courage, right? Taking responsibility if we make a mistake. I'll get back to the difference between a mistake and an accident. Saying that they're sorry, asking for help, and knowing that it's okay not to be perfect. It's an act of courage, and it's practicing courage when you say, I'm sorry, Mom, or I'm sorry, Dad, I'm sorry, Grandma, Grandpa, brother, sister, I made a mistake. Which gets me to, I also distinguish between a mistake and an accident, because back in the day when we were in the building, sometimes kids would, you know, do something wrong, and we all falter. I mean, we all make mistakes, right? And they would say, it's an accident. It was an accident. So I like to distinguish between a mistake and an accident. And mistake is something you actually have an influence over, right? Like if when we're in the building, a desk partner takes another kid's pencil, they definitely had influence in that behavior. They literally took the pencil from the student. That's not an accident. An accident is when you don't have influence on whatever happened. So I hope accidents don't happen to anybody, but it's like, when you're riding your bike and you fall off your bike, or unfortunately sometimes people fall down on the playground. Those are accidents, right? But a mistake is when we have influence on whatever is happening and something goes wrong. When that something goes wrong, we have to have courage to take responsibility for it. I don't think we don't always make kids say sorry, because under some circumstances that's not actually what needs to happen, but I do try my very best to make sure that kids take responsibility for the mistake. So it might be giving the student back their pencil. It might be drawing them a picture. It might be asking them how they can make the problem better. But admitting that we're wrong and correcting the mistake or taking responsibility for it is definitely an act of courage. I think we all as humans can relate to that, and is one that I would love to see us practicing. So facing our fears, admitting when we were wrong, were the two main goals. And then I just reminded them with some cute little graphics there that let's remember to do all things with love, right? Assume good intentions, look for the good in people, and know that you're doing your best. If you're trying your hardest, you're doing your best, and that matters. So, and then I just wish them all like a very happy day, and that even though we're not together, we're still very connected, and then I said goodbye. So I invite you all to enjoy the lesson and reflect on it with your wonderful children in your home. And I just want to again reiterate like what a joy it is to be teaching them some social emotional stuff. So anyway, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. leonie.bannister@corvallis.k12.or.us. Okay, I wish you all the best. Take care.